Hello and welcome to 9 p.m. Daily Quiz. I hope all of you are doing good. I welcome you all to this session where we discuss the most important news stories for the day from the prelims examination point of view from different sources. If you're new here, do hit the subscribe button so that you can get notifications about all the videos that we do on this channel. There are a lot of other initiatives that we have taken on our app. You can download my app from the Google Play Store. The name is Harshmeet Study Circle. You can find the link in the description of the video. There are a lot of courses that you can find there, including the PSIR test series, the PSIR live online course, personal mentorship programs for prelims examination, where I personally handhold your preparation, personalized guidance programs for mains answer writing, and much, much, much more. If you have any questions, feel free to get in touch. My phone number and my email address, both of them are given in the description of the video. Let's begin with the first question then. Consider the following statements with regards to UPSPA, Armed Forces Special Powers Act 1958. Number one, the British colonial government had on 15th of August 1942 promulgated the Armed Forces Special Powers Ordinance to suppress the Quit India movement. Second, UPSPA gives unbridled power to the armed forces and to the CAPF forces deployed in disturbed areas. Third, once declared disturbed, the region is maintained as disturbed for a period of 6 months straight according to the Disturbed Area Special Courts Act 1976. How many of these are correct? The statements are slightly wrong here, or the options are the slightly wrong here. Third option would be all three, and fourth would be none of the above. Now, UPSPA is one of those laws which have been debated quite a lot. It remains in the news for some reason or the other. There are a lot of allegations of human rights violations in those areas where UPSPA has been enforced, and that is why it always remains in the news. With that in mind, the first statement is correct. It was a law introduced by the British in the form of an ordinance specifically aimed at suppressing the Quit India movement. Second is also correct. This gives a lot of powers to the armed forces and the CAPF to bring situation under control in disturbed areas. Third statement is wrong. When an area is declared as a disturbed area, it remains in disturbed area for a period of 3 months straight and not 6 months. The answer thus is B. Two of these are correct. It is for 3 months that the area remains disturbed, and then after 3 months, it has to be reevaluated once again. Next, this is by the way the article in today's Indian Express newspaper about how, citing UPSPA, the Supreme Court has closed cases against 30 army personnel with respect to the infamous botched up operation in Nagaland. Question number two. Consider the following statements with regards to the impact of US Federal Reserve rate hike. Number one. A US Fed rate hike can lead to rise in interest rates in the US, which can lead to reduction in foreign investment in India, which can affect economic growth. Second, it may lead to a depreciation of rupee. Third, it may result in costlier imports such as crude oil and other goods. And fourth, it can lead to an increase in borrowing costs in India, as investors may choose to invest in US securities instead of Indian securities. How many of these are correct? Now, the US Federal Reserve rate hike or rate cut is one of the most watched after and followed events in the entire world. Whenever the world economies are making their policies, they look towards the US Federal Reserves about what action is being taken on that platform because it has an impact far and wide, much beyond the US. In India, also, it has a major impact. For example, when the US increases or US Federal Reserve increases its rate, that means now if you deposit money in the US, you will get more rate of interest. So you will get a better interest, meaning that it will help you in ensuring or meaning that it will actually ensure that you are able to get more money out of it. Now the result is that money goes out of India and money basically is attracted towards the US. So first is correct, because foreign exchange goes outside India, it will lead to depreciation of rupee. Depreciation of rupee will convert to costlier imports, and it may result in investors choosing to invest in US securities. So all these statements here are correct. This is what happens when the US Federal Reserve have a rate hike. The answer here is thus D. In the Indian Express newspaper, there is this article about how Fed rates cut might be expected. The world is waiting as in how much the rates will be cut. Next, question number 3. Consider the following statements with regards to Jammu and Kashmir Legislative Assembly. Number 1. Legislative Assembly may make laws for whole or any part of the Union Territory of J&K with respect to any of the matters enumerated in the state list, except public order and police respectively. Second, the Act states that bill or amendment shall not be introduced or moved in the Assembly except on recommendation of Legislative Governor if such bill deals with, among other aspects, the amendment to the law with respect to any financial obligation undertaken or to be undertaken by the government of the Union Territory. Third, apart from public order and police, the bureaucracy, the Anti-Corruption Bureau, will also be under the Lieutenant Governor's control. How many of these are correct? As you know, the Legislative Assembly elections Jammu Kashmir have just kicked off, and that is why it is extremely important because it is an event that is happening after 10 years. So we have to understand nuances of the Jammu Kashmir Legislative Assembly. One of the reasons why a lot of local leaders of Jammu Kashmir have criticized the move by the central government is that they believe that the CM or the elected government will not have much powers in the present context in Jammu and Kashmir. Lieutenant Governor has been given much more power. So first is correct. They can make the laws on stateless subjects except on police and public order. For a union territory like Delhi, there's a third aspect as well where they cannot make laws, that is land. But that is not the case in Jammu Kashmir. Second is also correct. The Lieutenant Governor essentially will have all the financial powers. So any bill with regards to financial aspects, financial obligations, it has to be introduced after permission of the Lieutenant Governor. Third is also correct. Anti-Corruption Bureau, bureaucracy will also be reporting to the Lieutenant Governor directly. The answer thus is C. All the three given statements here about Jammu Kashmir Assembly are correct. This is the article in the Indian Express newspaper, the nature of Jammu Kashmir Legislative Assembly. Do read this in detail. It gives you all the details that you are required to read to answer such kind of a question. Question number 4. Consider the following statements with regard to telescopes. Number 1. Their primary function is to enhance the brightness of celestial objects measured by their light gathering power. Second, the opening size that regulates how much light may pass through an optical device is called the aperture. Third, the larger the apparent magnitude, the brighter the object. The lower the magnitude, the dimmer it is. How many of these are correct? Now, telescope is something that all of you would have used at some point in your life. A small telescope in the schools, in labs. There are huge telescopes as well that are used to observe our galaxy. With that in mind, there's a detailed article on the working of telescopes in today's Hindu newspaper. First is correct. They mainly enhance the brightness of the celestial object so that a lot more light reaches our eyes and we can make out what exactly it is. Second is also right. Third is wrong. The lower the size of the apparent magnitude, the brighter the object will be. On the other hand, the larger the size of magnitude, the dimmer it will be. Thus, the answer here is B. Two of these given statements are correct. The first is wrong because the larger and the lower are actually contrary to each other. There is this detailed article in the Hindu newspaper about what is a telescope and how does it work. Question number 5 is about something that was in the news a few weeks back. The monastery of Saint Hilarion was recently seen in the news. It is located in Gaza, Kiev, Bamiyan, or Derna. These are the places that remain in the news or that have been in the news because of recent ongoing conflicts. So this place was in the news because it was attacked in the conflict. The answer here is Gaza. This famous monastery of Saint Hilarion is in Gaza. It is in news because Gaza's Tel Ahmed is now being included in the World Heritage Site list. They are also known as the Monastery of Saint Hilarion. It was dated back to the 4th century Common Era. It has been damaged in the ongoing conflict in Gaza. To end the session today, again, I have an important infographic about a new initiative taken by the Government of India called NPS Vatsalya. This is an effort by the government to ensure that you have enough money saved in for your child's financial planning later on. Guardians can open NPS account for their children from the birth up till 18 years of age. The concept is basically on basis of pension. It fosters financial literacy from an early age. You can have contribution of minimum of 1,000 rupees per year, and it brings long-term stability with such investments. This was our session for the day. I hope you learned something new. If you did, do hit the like and the subscribe button and let other people also know to join in such sessions. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Jai Hind.